Seeing her smile, Yuanzhou felt uneasy. I know the person you like isn't me. Xiaomin was surprisingly frank at this moment. She said directly, Yuanzhou, you really don't need to put so much pressure on yourself. I haven't taken this to heart. Besides, we were both drunk that night, and we're both adults. A man and a woman alone in a room. The timing was right, the feeling was right, so some things just happened naturally. She paused, took a deep breath, and continued. You don't need to take any responsibility for me. And what's more, I don't need your responsibility. Yu Zhuanzhou's expression gradually darkened. He met her gaze. So, what are you trying to say by that? I'm trying to say, relax about everything. Let's act as if nothing happened. In today's society, relationships between men and women, these kinds of things are too normal, Xiao Min stated clearly. You don't need to carry any psychological burden. We interacted before, and will interact again in the future. Yu Zhuanzhou's brows furrowed slightly. He was actually very uncomfortable hearing Xiao Min say this. No, extremely uncomfortable. He wanted to express something, but couldn't find the words. He wanted to take full responsibility, but it seemed he had nothing else to offer besides responsibility. Xiao Min clearly didn't want to talk about it anymore. She said softly, Drive, I'm quite tired. Yu Wanzhou felt a stone weighing heavily on his heart, terribly heavy, and his breathing was labored. After a long while, he restarted the car. Xiao Min turned her head to look at the swirling snow outside the car window. The wind had picked up, and the flying snow in the night was blown into disarray, much like her heart, troubled by a myriad of inexplicable emotions. The city lights of Beishir became hazy due to the snow. Once they entered the city, the more bustling areas became livelier, even late at night. Perhaps because of the snow, many young people had come out to photograph the snowy night and stroll the streets. Yunyan didn't particularly like or dislike snow. Although she was from Jiangnan, she should have appreciated it more, given its rarity there. Perhaps tonight was too depressing, so she had no mind for appreciation. For quite a long time, the car interior was silent. Old Lu didn't even dare to play music. Jiang Yan's displeasure had long dissipated, but the tense atmosphere from just now had left both of them in low spirits. The car descended from the overpass, turning onto the service road towards the corporation. This was already a place where neon lights clustered, but behind the dazzling brilliance, there was also the most ordinary human touch of life. Many people were returning home late. Some had eaten at nearby restaurants until late, others had worked overtime until late. In short, in the alleys behind the bustling main streets, one could always find small stalls and vendors that offered comfort to the heart. Amidst the swirling snow, the coldness gained more warmth. With 5 minutes left in the drive, Jiang Yinyan suddenly told Old Lu to stop the car. Old Lu was surprised. Young Master Yin, we're almost there. Stop the car, Jiang Yinyan commanded. The car slowly pulled over to the side of the road and stopped. Yunyan had been immersed in her own world, watching the freely falling white snow, but her thoughts were trapped in the sanatorium and couldn't escape. It was a long while before she realized the car had stopped. She looked closely. They hadn't reached the company yet, but they were in the vicinity. She didn't understand why they had stopped there. Jiang Yinyan spoke, his voice low. Want to get out and walk? Yunyan froze, then after a good while, reacted, get out and walk. Jiang Yinyan looked at her and nodded slightly. She turned her head to look out the car window, and, after a long moment, nodded. Yunyan was actually afraid of the cold. It's often said that people from north and south are different, but surprisingly, it's northerners who fear the cold the most. They don't develop the same cold resistance as southerners, partly because northern homes become very warm as soon as temperatures drop. But Yunyan wasn't cold resistant. She would always shiver when exposed to cold air. When Beishir's temperature dropped recently, she had already prepared cashmere sweaters and similar clothes well in advance. So, when she got out of the car, Yunyan hesitated slightly, also fearing the cold. But to her surprise, once she pushed the door open, the temperature was quite mild, not as chilly as she had imagined. Jiang Yinyan stood beside her. Compared to her knee-length down jacket, he wore a gray cashmere overcoat with a matching scarf draped around his neck. The next second, the man's scarf was wrapped around Yunyan's neck. I don't wear it, Jiang Yinyan said, opening an umbrella. In the north, when it snows, people don't use umbrellas, Yunyan said from behind him. Jiang Yinyan turned to look at her. The snow's falling quite heavily. He didn't say much else. Yunyan observed her surroundings. All the passers-by were walking freely in the snow. She turned her head and shook it at Jiang Yinyan. That's too silly. Everyone else was without an umbrella, so the two of them using one would look out of place. Jiang Yinyan had expected her to give some logical reason, but hearing her words, he felt a momentary helplessness. He opened the umbrella and said blandly, there's no need to care what others think. What everyone else is doing isn't necessarily right. And so, one umbrella, two people. Although none of the late-night returnees were using umbrellas, Not many people were paying attention to those who were. Yunyan listened to the sound of her shoes crunching on the snow, and her heart gradually calmed down. Sure enough, some worries were superfluous. There's so many people in this world who don't care about you. You aren't that important. Along the way, Jiang Yunyan held the umbrella, its canopy tilted towards her, while one side of his shoulder was dusted with snow. Neither of them spoke, they just walked slowly in the snow, with old Lu following very slowly behind in the car. It couldn't be said that the two of them went completely unnoticed. After all, their appearances were equally outstanding, and more importantly, a limited edition luxury car was trailing behind them. In the eyes of many young men and women, this was like an ideal dream come true. Passing through an alley, large wisps of steam intertwined with the falling snow. The alley wasn't long, so one could get a general idea of it by looking in from the entrance. At the far end was a stall, covered by a cloth canopy to block the snow. Several late-night patrons were gathered around the stall eating, steam rising from their food. It wasn't clear exactly what they were eating, but this scene felt especially precious and rare on such a winter night. Yunyan stopped and looked inside. Want to eat? Jiang Yunyan's tone was light. Yunyan didn't necessarily want to eat. She just found the scene in the alley quite heartwarming. Perhaps the people sitting there eating also had their own struggles, but at least in that moment, delicious food could bring joy and make them briefly forget their pain. She wanted to nod, but then she reconsidered. Jiang Yunyan would surely disapprove. And how would it work? She sits there eating while he stands by and watches. Yunyan said no. As she lifted her leg to walk away, she heard Jiang Yunyan say, "If you want to eat, then go eat." Yunyan froze, then turned to look at him. Had the sun risen in the west? At worst, you can just take medicine after you eat. There are medicines in the car and at the office, Jiang Yunyan said. Yunyan opened her mouth. Why? Do you keep so much medicine? His stomach and intestines weren't problematic. Jiang Yunyan didn't explain much, just said blandly, "If you want to eat, go." This village doesn't have this shop. 5 minutes later, Yunyan was sitting in front of the stall. It was a malatang stall, the traditional kind where skewers of various ingredients are cooked in a hot pot. The stall wasn't big, with only 4 large sections. Bamboo skewers, loaded with various ingredients, were arranged neatly in 2 rows. Yunyan had only seen such stalls when she was very young, back in elementary school. Later, malatang moved into actual restaurants, and dirty stalls became clean ones. But it seemed the feeling was lost. Jiang Yunyan sat beside Yunyan. He didn't stand, nor did he guard her from behind as he used to. He just sat by her side. 3 minutes earlier, Jiang Yunyan had acted like a wealth-scattering child and sent away the other customers still at the stall. The reason wasn't a lack of empty seats. Rather, after Yunyan sat down, the bespectacled man opposite her kept glancing at her. But when he met Jiang Yunyan's icy gaze, he was so startled that he dropped his skewer into the pot, splashing oil everywhere. At the same time, Jiang Yunyan reached out and blocked the oil splashes, saving Yunyan's clothes. The bespectacled man apologized repeatedly, perhaps frightened by Jiang Yunyan's aura or seeing the oil splatter onto Jiang Yunyan's hand. He stopped eating and quickly made his escape. Jiang Yunyan demanded that the stall owner replace everything in the pot where the bespectacled man had dropped his skewer. The owner looked at Jiang Yunyan with an incredulous expression and said, "It was just one skewer. If you think it's unclean, you can eat from the other pots." Yunyan secretly tugged at Jiang Yunyan's sleeve, shaking her head at him. The owner ran a small business. There were still many skewers cooking in that pot. How could he just replace everything in a moment's notice? Jiang Yunyan said, "The skewer was contaminated with the other person's saliva. How can you be sure that person doesn't have an infectious disease?" At these words, the other customers, who had originally thought nothing of it, suddenly lost their appetites. For a moment, they held their skewers, feeling somewhat conflicted. The owner also looked troubled and sincerely said, "Sir, you clearly look like a wealthy person who works in an office all year. It's not easy for me to run this business. Yes, what you said makes sense, but at this hour, if you make me replace an entire pot, who am I going to sell it to?" So, Jiang Yunyan pulled out money. He not only paid the owner, but also gave money to the other customers, making his intention clear, clearing the area. The customers were all happy to receive the money. Clearing out was fine, especially since they got paid for it. The owner was also pleased. Jiang Yunyan was generous with his spending. Forget about replacing the pot and ingredients. If he were asked to go immediately buy a whole new set of equipment, he'd do it as long as the money was right. And compared to serving several people, taking care of just 2 was much simpler. Jiang Yunyan didn't make him rush around. Once the ingredients were in, he told the owner to do whatever he pleased. The owner, being a sensible person, slipped back onto his chair, pulled out his phone, and started listening to a midnight novel, seemingly a horror one. Although the volume was quite low, occasional startled gasps could still be heard. Despite it being a simple canopy, with steam rising from the pot and the owner having set up a camping-style stove burning firewood, the fire was roaring. Suddenly, sitting at the stall didn't feel cold at all. Outside the cloth canopy, winter snow fell quietly, and for a moment, there was a sense of peaceful serenity. Yunyan said to Jiang Yinyan, "You're someone who's experienced hardship. How is it that now you don't understand the suffering of common people?" "I can understand human suffering, but I can't tolerate unhygienic conditions." Jiang Yinyan placed a skewer of cooked wide noodles on the plate in front of Yunyan. He didn't like noodles or similar foods, always finding them sticky and unpleasant in his mouth. Yunyan didn't really have strong preferences for what she liked or disliked in such places. She enjoyed eating everything. After hearing Jiang Yinyan's words, she said, "Don't forget, you were pretty dirty too, the year you first came to the Yu family." There was a deliberate intent behind her words. Yunyan was feeling a bit devilish tonight. But she miscalculated. Yunyan carefully recalled when he first arrived at the Yu family. He was indeed dark-skinned and scrawny, appearing very frail, but he certainly wasn't dirty. "Aren't you going to eat something?" she suddenly asked Jiang Yinyan, changing the subject. After asking, she felt it was a strange question. Sure enough, Jiang Yinyan shook his head. This was something Yunyan could have guessed with her toes. Although the owner was listening to startling ghost stories there, he kept an eye and ear out for everything. He cut in, "My skewers, once you eat them, you'll crave them again. There's a secret recipe in them. The taste is different from others." Yunyan had already eaten several skewers and told the owner, "The taste is indeed quite good." The owner beamed with pride. "Right? Little girl, you could tell you're a connoisseur. I'm telling you, my secret recipe has been passed down from my ancestors. Within several miles. No, looking at the entire North City, no one can achieve my family's flavor, believe it or not." He looked at Jiang Yinyan, "So you should try it. Trying one bite won't hurt, and you won't be fooled." Yunyan suddenly remembered something she'd heard on the street a long time ago. "A dollar can't buy a loss. A dollar can't buy a scam." The owner himself is highly recommending it. Just try it. Yunyan really wanted to see what he looked like eating street food. She had never seen him eat it before, and now it would be even harder to see him eat this kind of thing. Jiang Yinyan shook his head, his attitude quite resolute. But Yunyan was also quite persistent, picking an egg dumpling skewer and handing it to him. "Here, I don't eat it." Jiang Yinyan stared at the egg dumpling, his expression incredibly serious. Yunyan wanted to laugh seeing him like that, but she held back. She said, "I've already taken it out. It's not good to put it back." The owner glanced at the two of them, thinking, "You've generously bought out the stall. You can eat however you like, whether you put it back or not. You're the ones eating it. Just put it on your plate," Jiang Yinyan said. "It just so happens I don't like to eat this one," Yunyan replied. Jiang Yinyan hadn't failed to notice the deliberate mischief in her eyes. He narrowed them slightly. "Yunyan, you've gotten bolder, haven't you? It's a waste to throw it away if you don't eat it. No one's money grows on trees." Yunyan didn't flinch this time, even speaking quite earnestly. For a moment, Jiang Yinyan was left speechless. He reached out and took it, a look of distinct distaste on his face. Seeing Yunyan watching him, his brows furrowed like a crumpled dishcloth. After a while, he took a tiny bite. Yunyan pushed a new dipping sauce plate in front of him. "Try it with the sauce." Jiang Yinyan shot her a look, his expression clearly helpless. But he still did as told. This time, he didn't take tiny bites. He simply ate it in one mouthful, chewed a few times, and swallowed. Yunyan asked him, "How does it taste?" Jiang Yinyan's brows hadn't unfurrowed. "Not good." Yunyan promptly offered him a skewer of kelp. "Try this one too." "I don't." "Try it. It has a unique flavor." It was clear Jiang Yinyan truly didn't like this stuff. His brows furrowed even deeper, but in the end, he chewed it and swallowed. Seeing Yunyan still staring at him, he said testily, "If you like it, you eat more. Don't give me any more." "Doesn't it taste good?" "Disgusting." Jiang Yinyan offered a two-word review. Before Yunyan could comment, the hot pot owner was displeased. "Hey, young man, just because you have money doesn't mean you can talk nonsense. How's my food not good?" Perhaps feeling the long distance wasn't satisfying enough, the owner simply moved a chair over and sat opposite them, arguing with Jiang Yinyan. "You need to properly explain it to me." Jiang Yinyan's tone was sharp. "Explain what? It's bad, and I can't say so." "Bad? You say it's bad and it's bad?" The owner didn't like to hear that. "If my skewers were bad, would so many people come to eat every night? Just because others like it doesn't mean I have to. Just because others say it's good doesn't mean I have to find it good." Jiang Yinyan became serious. The owner was even more serious. "Then why do you think it's bad when everyone else thinks it's good?" Jiang Yinyan's brows were twisted tightly, his displeasure evident in his eyes. "To each their own." "Exactly, to each their own. So why do you say mine is bad?" the owner asked. Jiang Yinyan might not have encountered such a difficult person before. He simply turned cold. Are you trying to drive away customers? As soon as the owner heard this, he immediately backed down, stood up, and quickly returned to his seat inside, continuing to listen to his ghost stories. No joke, this person hadn't paid yet. Throughout this process, Yunyan had been quietly eating, while also perking up her ears to listen to the commotion. Jiang Yinyan looked down and saw a pile of bamboo skewers in front of her in just a short time, and the dipping sauce plate was a small mountain. Seriously, eat your food. Jiang Yinyan knew she was enjoying the drama. Yunyan feigned incomprehension. I am eating seriously. The hot pot meal lasted until midnight. Yunyan felt all her bad emotions were digested away with each numbing and spicy bite. It was past midnight when they returned to the company, and the snow was falling even heavier. At this hour, the entire complex was silent. Jiang Yinyan walked ahead, Yunyan followed, their footsteps completely absorbed by the luxurious carpet. Silent, just like the snow outside. Inside the lounge, Jiang Yinyan told her, go take a bath. Although her body hadn't gotten wet from the snow earlier because of the umbrella, she had still walked outside for a while. So fearing the chill, Yunyan went into the bathroom to bathe. Although Jiang Yinyan's lounge wasn't too big, the functional areas were neatly divided, with everything one could need. But in Yunyan's eyes, even this single lounge, in North City, where every inch of land was precious, was something an ordinary worker couldn't save up for in a lifetime. But what did it matter, even if one stood at the pinnacle? Yunyan thought of the Yu family again. Thinking of the Yu family brought back memories of her mother's reaction today. The gloom in her heart crept back up little by little. Without a change of clothes, Yunyan emerged wrapped in a bathrobe. She had intended to ask Jiang Yinyan what to do about her clothes when she came out of the bathroom. Instead, she saw Jiang Yinyan standing by the window, looking out at the swirling snow, lost in thought. A dark shirt, dark suit pants, made him appear very tall and slender. The room lights weren't on. All the light came from outside the window. He was concealed in the shadows, his back appearing somewhat solitary. Yunyan didn't know why she had this feeling, but having this feeling made her uncomfortable. Thinking back, how could someone like him be lonely? Perhaps hearing the movement, Jiang Yinyan turned around. His eyes were very black, like the night outside the window, or perhaps he was more like a demon merged with the night. He represented night, and night was him. The words Yunyan wanted to ask vanished completely. Come here, Jiang Yinyan commanded. Yunyan tightened her bathrobe, hardened her resolve, and stepped forward, whispering, I'm tired. Jiang Yinyan didn't speak, looking her up and down from his superior height. It made her scalp tingle with tension. After a long moment, he raised a hand and gently caressed her face. A moment later, his long fingers slowly moved down, untying her bathrobe. Her hands were still tightly clutching the collar of the bathrobe. Let go. Jiang Yinyan's eyes were dark and deep. Yunyan pressed her lips together, her knuckles white from clenching. Jiang Yinyan leaned down, his lips softly touching her ear. Do you think you can escape tonight? She didn't think so. Yunyan gradually loosened her grip. The bathrobe fell to the floor. Compared to her disheveled state, Jiang Yinyan was still impeccably dressed, appearing extremely ascetic on the surface. Yet the raging fire, secretly burning in his eyes, revealed his greed completely. Hold me, Jiang Yinyan said. Yunyan didn't know what he was going to do, but at this moment, she obediently complied. She walked closer to him, wrapping her arms around his neck. The next second, he picked her up. Yunyan's head swam, thinking he was probably going to carry her to the bed. But he didn't. Jiang Yinyan actually carried her out of the lounge. Yunyan's scalp almost exploded. Her entire body stiffened. Where are you taking me? Outside the lounge was the office area. Was he insane? And there were cameras in the corridor outside the CEO's office. Just as Yunyan was filled with apprehension, Jiang Yinyan placed her on the office desk. Thankfully, he didn't carry her out of the CEO's office. But this was also where he usually worked. You. Jiang Yinyan raised his index finger to his lips. Shoo. Yunyan fell silent, staring at Jiang Yinyan with a wary expression. Jiang Yinyan's desk was near the window. When he usually worked there, behind him were vast city buildings, and, at night, a panorama of neon lights, making it the best viewing spot. But now, Yunyan sat on the desk, with a vast snowy landscape behind her. Although it was very warm indoors, because Yunyan was completely naked, she felt faint traces of cold seeping into her pores. Jiang Yinyan didn't do anything immediately. He just looked her up and down from his vantage point. More like appreciating a work of art. After a long while, Jiang Yinyan leaned down, his prominent nose almost touching hers. You are truly beautiful. Beautiful like a masterpiece meticulously sculpted by God. Every inch of her exuded perfect artistry, noble and serene like the moon goddess. He seemed tender, his low whisper continuing to fall. But the more beautiful something is, the more one has the urge to destroy it. Yunyin shivered, her heart leaping in her throat. She saw Jiang Yinyan straighten up, his eyes a turbulent dark sea. Jiang Yinyan, we can't do this here. Jiang Yinyan didn't speak, his large hand unfastening his belt slowly. In such a winter night, with snow falling, at the pinnacle of the financial center, amidst the bustling lights and neon, no one would imagine such a scene unfolding in the CEO's office. Yunyan's eyes saw large masses of shadows. Everything in a room seemed swallowed by darkness. Only she glowed white. Jiang Yinyan took her just like that, on his large office desk. This was his territory, so he acted recklessly, even audaciously. The next day, old Lu delivered clothes very early. Yinyan was suddenly startled awake by a knock at the door. Jiang Yinyan was still lying beside her. The sky was faintly brightening. She opened her eyes, staring at the ceiling, and it took a long while for her to remember she was sleeping in the lounge. Jiang Yinyan had worn her out late into the night, and now her head still felt heavy and swollen. The knock was light, accompanied by a cautious inquiry. "Mr. Jiang, are you in there?" Yunyin recognized it as the cleaning staff's voice, responsible for all the cleaning on this floor. Her heart instantly jumped to her throat, but the man's arm wrapped around her in time, preventing her from getting up immediately. Jiang Yinyan extended his other arm, pressed the bedside phone, and it went straight to speakerphone, scaring Yunyan into holding her breath. Soon, the CEO's office phone rang. The cleaning staff immediately picked it up. "The CEO's office and lounge don't need cleaning this morning. You can leave first." "All right, understood, Mr. Jiang." Soon, it was quiet inside and outside the room. Yunyan glanced at the time, then tried to get up again. Her slender waist was embraced by the man from behind, pulling her back into his arms. "Where are you going?" The man, just woken up, even his voice was lazy and magnetic. Yunyan didn't dare to stay in bed. She said, "It'll be time to start work soon." Jiang Yinyan smiled, gesturing for her to look at the time on the wall. "There are many dedicated workers at Zhongshe, but does anyone come to work before dawn?" "No, I can't." Yunyan was still anxious and flustered. Last time, Ji Jia had cornered her in the office. Luckily, she hadn't thought too deeply about it, but today it was too obvious. Jiang Yinyan rolled over and pinned her down, still looking lazy. "You can get up, but accompany me one more time." "Don't." Her subsequent struggles were all sealed by Jiang Yinyan's kiss. Old Madame Jiang set the family recognition ceremony for Saturday. Old Lu was temporarily reassigned by Old Madame Jiang to help, arranging all the complex matters like venue selection, guest list, and drinks menu in just a few days. Of course, Yunyan and Yuanzhou were the top priority. Before this, Yuanzhou specifically went to the Jiang family again to meet Old Madame Jiang, expressing his and Yunyan's request. The recognition ceremony could proceed, but no media presence. Making too big a fuss about it was inappropriate. After all, the Jiang family's reputation was significant, and it truly needed to be handled with discretion. Old Madame Jiang agreed. She reassured Yuanzhou that there would absolutely be no media reporters on site that day, and the guests would be strictly screened, inviting only those with close business ties to the Jiang family. She also told Yuanzhou, "Grandma knows you are devoted to the Yu family, so that day, while it's a recognition ceremony, isn't it also a networking event? So you need to build some connections. It will benefit you, and it will benefit the Yu family." Yuanzhou understood Old Madame Jiang's good intentions and thanked her again and again. In the blink of an eye, it was Saturday. The weather was pleasant that day, and the climate wasn't cold. The Jiang family was rarely so lively. A constant stream of luxury cars pulled in, bustling with activity. All the Jiang family servants were on duty, busying themselves inside and out. All the invited guests had arrived, and not just arrived, but arrived early. The Jiang family members were also all present, including relatives and elders from the collateral branches of the Jiang family. After all, it was a significant recognition event, and even if there were usually private feuds, everyone followed the necessary procedures for family matters. Yunyan and Yuanzhou came together, considered early arrivals, but they didn't expect the old mansion to be so lively. Seeing them, the guests were incredibly enthusiastic. Yunyan was so startled she almost twisted her ankle, lowering her voice to Yuanzhou. Why didn't these people go directly to the venue? What were they all doing gathered at the old mansion? The family recognition process was divided into two parts. The morning was centered at the Jiang family's old mansion, primarily for the recognition ceremony itself, which was extremely important for a prominent family like the Jiangs. Although the Jiang family no longer maintained an ancestral shrine, the ancestral hall was still present, so all Jiang elders with influence would gather there to witness this momentous occasion. At noon, they would move to the venue, inviting guests from all walks of life. This was essentially an announcement to let the outside world know about the matter. The social arena of fame and fortune, that old Madame Jiang had mentioned to Yu Wanzhou actually referred to this luncheon banquet. The banquet was scheduled to last until evening, so every step of the process was meticulously planned. At this recognition ceremony, apart from old Madame Jiang, the most enthusiastic party was surprisingly Jiang Yintai's family, especially Tang Hui. She actively fulfilled her duties as the Jiang family's eldest daughter-in-law, constantly helping old Lu with various tasks, her fervent enthusiasm even reaching Yun Yan's ears. She later learned that Tang Hui had even suggested to old Madame Jiang that the recognition ceremony should be done on a grand scale. For instance, a 3-day, 3-night banquet, fitting for a distinguished family like the Jiangs, as this matter was very important. Old Madame Jiang, out of love and guilt for Yun Yan, did hesitate and gave it some thought. However, it was Yu Wanzhou who persuaded her to keep things simple, and only then did old Madame Jiang reject Tang Hui's suggestion. Why was Tang Hui so proactive? Yun Yan understood clearly. To use the grand spectacle of the recognition ceremony to overshadow the scandal involving Jiang Zhe and GZ. This could also be seen as an attempt to salvage their plummeting stock market. In the world of the wealthy and prominent, every step was calculated. It was unexpected, even for the Jiang family, that some guests came directly to the Jiang mansion, though fortunately, they were all close acquaintances. Yun Yan became the center of attention today, drawing gazes wherever she went. Jiang Yintai's family, Jiang Yinqi and his wife Ding Jie, and even Jiang Xian had returned. The others were Jiang family relatives. Among them was a tall and imposing man whom Yun Yan found familiar. After discreetly asking around, she remembered it was Jiang Zhihong, Jiang Yinyan's cousin. He was reportedly one of the top figures in the corporation. He shared Jiang Yinyan's preference for avoiding the media, so there were very few external reports about him. His features also bore some resemblance to Jiang Yinyan's, but his eyes were gentle, not as cold and aloof. Jiang Yinyan, the man who had insisted on staying at her place last night, had yet to appear. In bed, he had chuckled softly, his forehead pressed against hers. "Tomorrow, you'll be my niece?" Yun Yan didn't know how to answer that question, and she found Jiang Yinyan's attitude unsettling. Although she couldn't tell what he was truly thinking, the heaviness in his brows sent shivers down her spine. He had then fiercely kissed her, even biting the corner of her lip, and tormented her in various ways. From that day of wild frenzy on the office desk to last night's incessant entanglement, Jiang Yinyan seemed to be venting some kind of emotion. Yun Yan didn't want to delve too deeply into his feelings. From beginning to end, she felt that the two of them would eventually reach the point of falling apart, at the latest a year, at the earliest, any time. What Yun Yan hadn't expected was that GZ actually came, arm in arm with Jiang Zhe, dressed in a dazzlingly opulent manner. Everyone present saw her, whether guests or Jiang family servants. Upon seeing this scene, they all whispered. The ceremony hadn't started yet. Yun Yan and Yu Wanzhou sat beside old Madame Jiang, chatting with several Jiang family elders, while Jiang Yintai, as the eldest son and head of the Jiang family, greeted guests with his wife. Jiang Zhe then returned with GZ. GZ didn't show her pregnancy too obviously, but every movement suggested she was with child. The Jiang family elders naturally felt embarrassed, but now that things had come to this, they couldn't say anything. Jiang Zhe led GZ forward to greet the elders, and naturally, he also saw Yun Yan. His expression was unnatural, and when he looked at Yun Yan, there was still obvious affection in his eyes. GZ, on the other hand, showed no fear whatsoever. Worthy of her background as a film empress, she acted as if she were on stage. It couldn't have been more natural. Introduced by Jiang Zhe, GZ proactively greeted several elders with grace and poise. She then offered tea to old Madame Jiang, saying sweetly, "Grandma, please have some tea." It was unclear if old Madame Jiang was simply unwilling or if she was considering Yun Yan's feelings, but she reached out and took the tea. However, she didn't drink it, instead placing it on the nearby coffee table, saying blandly, "There'll be time to drink this tea once you've officially entered the Jiang family's door." That one sentence made Jiang Zhe lose face. He subconsciously glanced at Yun Yan again. GZ simply smiled slightly yes. It wasn't that Yun Yan hadn't noticed Jiang Zhe's expression, and she could feel his gaze every time he looked her way since entering. But how to put it? She felt nothing. Last night, Xiaomin had asked her on the phone, just suppose GZ also attends the recognition ceremony tomorrow. How would you feel? Would you be embarrassed? Or uncomfortable? Frankly, today's recognition ceremony was also the best opportunity for GZ to integrate into the Jiang family. If the Jiang family had to implicitly accept GZ and the child in her womb, they would certainly have to find a suitable occasion for her to appear. Whether other Jiang family elders acknowledged her or not was unimportant. What mattered was that the main branch indicated their acceptance of GZ. Yun Yan had thought about this before coming. What kind of scene would it be when the three of them met? Would she feel awkward or any other emotion? But now that it had actually happened today, Yunyin felt a sense of relief instead. It was as if something in her heart had suddenly been released. She held no hatred for Jiangze, and similarly, none for Jizi. Everything had become like a passing cloud. But things in this world are like this. For Yunyin, that chapter was closed, but for Jizi, it was just beginning. Before the ceremony, there was some preparatory work. The Jiang family elders first held an impromptu, closed-door meeting. What they discussed was not just about the recognition ceremony, but possibly other Jiang family matters as well. This left time for everyone to move freely. Although Jiang Xian didn't get involved in Jiang family affairs, that didn't mean she had no standing in the family. Any guest who came to the Jiang residence still showed respect to Jiang Xian. So Jiang Xian, being thick-skinned, dragged Yuanzhou around the mansion. Thus, Yunyin found herself alone. And then, Jizi proactively approached Yunyin. Yunyin was already mentally prepared. Although Jizi's revolution hadn't fully succeeded yet, she had already stepped one foot into the Jiang family. After all, the two had a history, so wasn't today her chance to finally gloat and assert herself? The Jiang mansion had a cold buffet area. Yunyin, tray in hand, was about to get some fruit to line her stomach when Jizi gracefully approached. She first picked up a pastry, then said delicately, "I wonder if it's because I'm pregnant, but I'm always hungry lately. I can't bear to be without pastries or anything like that. That day I even told Jiangze, I'm really afraid I'll become fat, but he said he wouldn't mind." Yunyin glanced at her, saying nothing. A servant nearby stepped forward and respectfully asked, "Miss, what would you like to eat?" The servants were all astute. After knowing what day it was, they even changed how they addressed Yunyin. Previously, they would call her Miss Yu. But today, even before the ceremony began, it had changed to simply Mississippi. Jizi stood nearby, and her expression turned unpleasant the moment she heard the servant's address. Yunyin wasn't some naive country bumpkin. In this kind of setting, she was naturally at ease. She didn't proactively grab tongs like Jizi did. Instead, she told the servant, just a small portion of bananas and cherries will do. Soon, the servant placed the bananas and cherries on Yunyin's plate. The Jiang family is a prominent household, Miss Ji. Since you intend to marry in, perhaps the most important thing to learn is the etiquette of a distinguished family, Yunyin said, as calmly as a gentle breeze. Rules, in the Jiang family's eyes, are paramount. Miss Ji, you absolutely must not presume upon your pregnancy to do as you please. Jizi narrowed her eyes, staring at her. For a moment, she had no words to retort. Indeed, she had to admit this point. Even though she had climbed to the position of a movie queen and meticulously cultivated an elegant image for years, at her core, she still lacked Yunyin's aura of a well-bred young lady from a distinguished family. Even if Jizi didn't want to admit it, she had to. Even though the Yu family was now in decline, Yunyin, standing there, still drew attention like a luminous body. This was the inherent nobility and grace that Yunyin possessed, a temperament that could only be cultivated by being born into such a family. Others could not imitate it. And you're concerned about getting fat. Yunyin held a cherry in one hand, its lustrous red contrasting with her fingertips, which were delicate, pale, and exquisitely tender. You'd better not ignore it. Your image will represent the Jiang family in the future, so you must not only focus on weight management now, but also every single day in the future. The Jiang family has its own nutritional diet, which might be harder than being a celebrity in some respects. Of course, this is only a small part of it. The human relationships you'll have to manage in the future are the most complex. Jizi scoffed. Yunyin, why does your tone sound so sour? Sour. Yunyin smiled. Miss Ji, you're overthinking it. How can I be overthinking? Jizi feigned a sigh, one hand gently stroking her abdomen. I admit I snatched your fiancé, but emotional matters are best taken lightly. And just think, you were with Jiangze for so many years, yet he ended up in bed with me and even got me pregnant? What does that say? Yunyin smiled faintly. It means you're shameless. What else could it mean? The nearby servant couldn't hold back and chuckled. Realizing the impropriety, they quickly apologized. Jizi's expression suddenly changed, becoming utterly hideous. She turned and scolded the servant. Who do you think you are? How dare you eavesdrop on a master's conversation? Now get lost. In her exasperation, her true nature was completely exposed. The servant's face also turned unpleasant, and they retorted faintly, The butler assigned me to wait here today. I'm sorry, Miss Ji. You. Jizi was so angry her eyes widened to their largest. Yunyin sighed softly and told the servant, It's all right. Please take this plate from me, and give me a cup of coffee while you're at it. Thank you. The servant took the plate from her hand and respectfully left. Miss Ji. Yunyin turned to look at her. If you're so overbearing, aren't you afraid your future path will be more difficult? The servants who are able to work in the Jiang family are all seasoned staff. Only with their support will your days not be hard to bear. Don't you understand this basic principle? Jizi didn't listen at all. She sneered. Are you using your status as a Jiang family granddaughter to lecture me now? Jiang family this, Jiang family that? I suppose you're angry you can't marry in and are deliberately trying to spite me, aren't you? Yunyan looked at her, feeling a bit helpless. She seemed to see Jizi's future. She didn't want to say anything more to Jizi and turned to leave. Jizi, however, was quick to act. She instantly blocked Yunyan's path. Yunyan abruptly stopped, nearly bumping into her. Miss Ji, what do you want? Yunyan frowned. Jizi lifted her chin. Leaving before we're finished talking? What are you so guilty about? Yunyan was speechless. Are you overly self-important? What is there for us to talk about? She then added a piece of advice for Jizi. And let me advise you, don't use your belly as a weapon. Unless this child isn't Jiang Zhe's. Otherwise, you'd better watch it carefully. If your future wealth and glory run away, you'll have nowhere to cry. You don't need to worry about my affairs. I think you should worry about yourself instead, Jizi said coldly. I'm about to marry into the Jiang family. And you, old Madame Jiang has now recognized you. Regardless of the situation within the family, at least the outside world considers us family. So you'd better control yourself. Jiang Zhe is no longer yours. Don't go provoking him again. Ending up with both of us losing face is a minor matter. Becoming a laughingstock to outsiders is the big deal. Upon hearing this, Yunyan couldn't help but laugh. Her laughter was full of helplessness. What are you laughing at? Jizi was displeased. Yunyan looked at her with an amused expression. Miss Ji, I'll say it again. What you're desperately clinging to might not be what others want. So don't feel so superior. I don't care for your things. Easier said than done. Jizi's expression was cold. Who knows what shady schemes you're plotting behind the scenes? In my opinion, anything that can be snatched away is trash, Miss Ji. Do you think if I wanted to play tricks, I'd have to do it covertly? If I truly wanted to snatch him, you wouldn't be a match. Yunyan's tone was dismissive. And you know best whose instructions you're following to dare negotiate terms with the Jiang family. Shouldn't you rein yourself in a bit? Jizi's face changed. Just as she was about to retort, her gaze inadvertently swept to a spot not far away. Immediately after, her entire body stumbled. Then she clutched the dining table with one hand and pointed at Yunyan with the other. You, how can you speak so viciously? Her voice was not small, drawing everyone nearby to look in their direction. And Jiang Zhe happened to come over at this moment. He hurried forward. What's wrong? Upon seeing Jiang Zhe, Jizi immediately became aggrieved. She instantly threw herself into his arms, tears flowing instantly, crying like a willow in the rain. Now everyone around them started to approach. Yunyan coldly watched the scene unfolding before her. She almost applauded Jizi in her mind. Truly a professional. Tears could fall on cue. What Jiang Zhe feared most was these two meeting. And as expected, what he feared most happened. He helplessly asked what had happened, and Jizi was sobbing uncontrollably. The guests all around, though openly crowding forward to eavesdrop on the gossip would be too obvious, none of them intended to leave. They all pricked up their ears, waiting for the opportune moment to peek. Jiang Zhe stood there with an awkward expression, his shirt front soaked by Jizi. He looked at Yunyan, then reached out to pull Jizi. Stop making a scene, there's so many people. You're pregnant, don't walk around, go upstairs and rest. Jizi looked up, her eyes tear-filled, staring at him. Jiang Zhe, she's cursing our child. Don't get the situation wrong. How can you say I'm making a scene? It's her, she pointed at Yunyan, her voice not small, nor her grievance. It was her who spoke maliciously first. You don't know, before you came, her attitude was so arrogant. All right, stop it, miss you. Jizi turned to look at Yunyan, a small face streaked with tears, these tears falling in a truly artistic manner. I know you're bothered by Jiang Zhe breaking off the engagement with you, and I admit I'm sorry, but one has to let go of matters of the heart. Jiang Zhe's heart isn't with you. Why do you have to be so hung up on it? Besides, Jiang Zhe and I already have a child. Her voice choked as she spoke. What's going on? Jiang Nian Tai's authoritative voice rose. He noticed many guests coming this way, so he came to see, with Tang Hui by his side, and his expression stiffened upon seeing this scene. Soon Jiang Xian and Yuan Zhou also arrived. Yuan Zhou walked to Yunyan's side. What happened? Yunyan wasn't in a hurry to explain. She didn't even bother to speak, just lifted her chin towards Jizi. Jizi's tears were even more exaggerated than before, but she was quite clever. She didn't complain to Jiang Yin Tai, but instead sent out a distress signal to Tang Hui. It was roughly the same words as before, but later she added, I'm carrying Jiang Zhe's child, and she called my child a bastard. Isn't that cursing the Jiang family? Jiang Zhe's face became even more unpresentable. He pulled Jizi and reprimanded her in a low voice. Are you done or not? So many people here. Aren't you ashamed? GZ cried. I'm the one being insulted. She's the one who should be ashamed. Haven't the Jiang family been good enough to her? Even Grandma wants to recognize her as her granddaughter, but she, instead, vents all her resentment on me. Isn't it just because she sees me as an outsider to bully me? Yuan Zhou understood after all this back and forth, his brows furrowed. Jiang Zhe, can't you control your woman? Why let her out to cause trouble? Jiang Zhe felt even more infuriated upon hearing this. He looked up at him. What kind of talk is that? Did I say anything wrong? Don't you know Yun Yan's character? Let alone you. The entire Jiang family knows what kind of person Yun Yan is. On a day like this, you know perfectly well who is slandering whom. Yuan Zhou was already displeased with Jiang Zhe, so his attitude was quite poor. Jiang Zhe was about to speak when GZ started wailing again, throwing herself into Jiang Zhe's arms. The Yu family is too bullying, a Zhe. You must uphold justice for me. Jiang Zhe. Yun Yan finally spoke. She had finished watching the show and also felt that GZ's acting was nothing special. She sighed. I suggest you take her away from here. She has a bit of persecutory delusion. Who are you calling enough? Jiang Yin Tai couldn't stand it anymore and roared in a low voice. Jiang Zhe, take her to rest. GZ, no matter how unwilling, naturally dared not continue to act up in front of Jiang Yin Tai. She could only sob with her head down. Jiang Xin waved to the guests, inviting them to enjoy some cold refreshments, trying to smooth things over. Jiang Zhe was about to pull GZ away when a faint voice rose from the crowd. Wait. Everyone looked over at the sound, including Yun Yan, stunned. It was actually Jiang Yin. She had thought he wouldn't be able to come today, but soon she saw the person beside him. Mora. He not only came, but he also brought Mora with him. Yun Yan averted her gaze. Although she knew it was normal to see this scene on such an occasion, she felt a slight sourness and swelling in her chest, and a dull pain for some reason. Everyone whispered upon seeing Jiang Yin. It's young Master Yin. I didn't expect to see him today. Today is the Jiang family's recognition ceremony. Of course he has to come back. Jiang Zhe obediently called out, Uncle. Jiang Yin nodded slightly, his gaze seemingly inadvertently sweeping across Yun Yan's face, then looking at Jiang Yin Tai. Big brother, the Jiang family has always acted with principles. If something like this were to be vaguely resolved today, it would invite criticism. It's better to resolve it clearly, so as not to damage the Jiang family's reputation. Yun Yan didn't know what trick Jiang Yin was up to. How could Jiang Yin Tai agree to Jiang Yin? The two were already secretly vying for power. Agreeing would be like jumping into a pit. Jiang Yin Tai said, It's just a small matter, just a quarrel between women. How could it be a big deal? I think we shouldn't delay the main event. Involving the granddaughter the old madam is going to recognize. This matter isn't small, is it? Jiang Yin retorted faintly. Jiang Yin Tai was about to speak when Jiang Xin interjected. Third brother is right. Yin is about to enter the Jiang family. I also see Miss G is full of grievances. If this matter is left unresolved, it's unfair to both of them. What's wrong with women's matters? Big brother, you can't be too traditional. Are women's matters not important? Jiang Yin Tai looked displeased at Jiang Xin. He knew she was on the third brother's side. Tang Hui's eyes darted around. She was about to speak, but unfortunately, Jiang Yin didn't give her a chance. He turned to the person next to him and said, Tell us what you saw just now. Everyone then realized there was another person next to Jiang Yin, dressed like a Jiang family servant. The reason no one had paid attention to him before was that they all thought he was just serving there. This person was indeed serving in the cold refreshment area, so when GZ recognized him, her face turned extremely ugly. Jiang Zhe keenly noticed the change in GZ's expression, and at once became even more certain. This person stepped forward and briefly introduced himself to everyone, saying that he was arranged by the butler in the cold refreshment area, specifically to serve everyone, and then recounted in detail how GZ had actively approached Yun Yan and how she had spoken rudely. Although I don't know what happened afterward, because Miss G cursed me terribly at the time, and it was Miss Yu who helped me out, but from what I saw, Miss Yu would never say such nasty things. I have worked in the Jiang family for over 10 years, and it's not the first time I've seen Miss Yu. She has always been polite to everyone when she comes home, but Miss G, as Yun Yan said, the servants who can work in the Jiang family are not simple, and those who have worked for years are the cream of the crop. For example, when there were no outsiders just now, this servant called Yun Yan Miss, which indicated the Jiang family's acceptance of Yun Yan, including the servants. But now, facing a crowd of outsiders, the servant still referred to Yun Yan as Miss Yu, indicating that rules cannot be broken and the ceremony has not yet been completed. Doing things with restraint and understanding boundaries, that's a Jiang family servant. So GZ's misunderstanding lies in this. As an actress, she was used to being flattered, and in her eyes, These servants were as lowly as ants. Jeezy immediately exploded. What nonsense are you talking about? You weren't even there. How can you testify? Are you done or not? Jiang Zhe yelled coldly, grabbing her wrist and walking out. Let go, shut up. A farce, enriching leisure time. Jiang Yin said to the servant, go back to work. Yes. Jiang Xin quickly ushered the guests to have some tea and pastries. Jiang Yin looked at Jiang Yantai and Tang Hui, smiling. Big brother, big sister-in-law, it seems your future days won't be idle. Truly an actress, so much drama. Tang Hui's face was flushed and pale, and Jiang Yantai's expression was no better, his lips tightly pressed, his eyes almost spitting fire. After a moment, he said, third brother, after all, we're family. Do you have to be so ruthless? Jiang Yin seemed to realize. It seems Big Brother's family also wants to take advantage of today's good fortune to finalize Jiang Ze's matter. You should have said so earlier. At least I would have given my future niece-in-law some respect just now. Jiang Yantai sneered. Are you really that kind-hearted? Tang Hui timely smoothed things over. The ceremony is about to begin. I think we should get ready. Mora walked over to Yunyan and softly asked, how are you? Yunyan saw her and thought of GZ. Mora meticulously brought GZ into the situation. What next? Seeing today's scene, did Mora regret her careful scheming? She gently shook her head. I'm fine. Jiang Yantai and his wife left. Jiang Yin glanced at Yunyan and said faintly, it's almost time, get ready. Jiang Ze did bring GZ with a purpose today. It was inevitable for GZ to enter the Jiang family. Since that was the case, he naturally wanted to take advantage of today's recognition ceremony to let GZ officially join the Jiang family. Even if the matter wasn't finalized today, the elders of the Jiang family still needed to meet her. Just as Jiang Yin said, Yunyan was the key. So, when the time came, the elders of the Jiang family entered the ancestral hall one after another, seating themselves according to seniority. The ancestral hall could not be entered casually. It was located in the deepest part of the old Jiang residence, an independent two-story building with a small courtyard in front. The courtyard had flowing water, and the carp in the water were said to be quite old. The largest one was a fry released by the old master when he was young. One could only enter for significant events, or if a descendant of the Jiang family made a mistake. Like last time, Jiang Ze was punished in the ancestral hall, and once punished, it wasn't easy to leave. In the past, the Jiang family had family rules. Many people with the Jiang surname lived together in the large residence, so with more rules, there were more punishments. Now everyone has abandoned traditional concepts, try not to live together, so there are fewer issues, and family rules have gradually disappeared. But today, it had the posture of an ancient large family council. As the eldest elder of the Jiang family, and with the family's enterprise mainly centered around the eldest branch, Jiang Laotai held the highest position among the elders. So, she sat in the main seat, with other Jiang family elders on either side. Historically, adoption ceremonies were quite complex. Although the Jiang family had previously removed some elaborate formalities, it was still a major adoption event, so rituals like worshipping heaven and earth and ancestors were indispensable. Before the adoption ceremony, according to custom, Yunyan had already moved the ancestral tablets of the Jiang family. However, the Jiang family didn't have ancestral tablets, only portraits of their ancestors, hung in the center of the ancestral hall. On ancestor worship days, Jiang Laotai would lead the sons and daughters of the Jiang family to burn incense and offer sacrifices. Yes, not just sons, but sons and daughters. Even Jiang Xan had to enter the ancestral hall to worship on ancestor worship days. The Jiang family's ancestors were from the north, so the patriarchal ideology was not strong, even tending towards valuing women over men. This was especially evident in the ancestor worship ceremony. Yunyan first had to invite the Jiang family ancestor portraits into the home, perform sacrifices and kowtows, and then have someone personally escort the portraits back to the Jiang family. This step was essential, and what needed to be done at the old Jiang residence first was to worship the gods. Incense burned in the shrine. Yunyan knelt with the elders towards the shrine, praying for blessings and protection from the gods. Following that was worshiping the ancestors. This step was extremely important, especially in large families. They performed bows, placed offerings like glutinous rice, chicken, duck, fish, and meat on the altar table. The Jiang family's butler recited prayers for the ancestral temple, intending to seek peace and blessings from the ancestors. They offered tea, incense, candles, wine, and flowers to the ancestors, and finally, a written eulogy was read, expressing gratitude to the ancestors. All offerings from this part of the ceremony were to be eaten by living people the next day, and the candles were to be left to burn out completely. Then the butler read out the written document. This part was mainly for living people. Yunyan first had to serve tea to Jiang Laotai. She knelt on the futon, holding the tea with both hands. She changed her address for Jiang Lao Tai to Grandma. Jiang Lao Tai beamed with joy, giving Yunyan a large red envelope and a jade bracelet for her wrist. The old lady loved jade all her life, so any jade that passed through her hands was of the finest quality. After drinking the tea, she was officially a granddaughter. Next, Yunyan had to serve tea to all the elders. Although she didn't need to kneel on the futon anymore, she had to serve tea to each of the Jiang family elders, and similarly, the elders who received the tea also had to give gifts in return. Among the Jiang family elders was Jiang Yinyan. Although he sat at the very end of the elders, he was still an elder. Yunyan needed to serve him tea. The other elders were quite kind. Some Yunyan had known since childhood, and when Yunyan approached to offer tea, they couldn't help but exchange a few pleasantries, asking her to visit more often. Soon, Yunyan had collected so many gifts that she could barely hold them, so she had to put them aside temporarily. There were quite a few uncles and aunts, and Yunyan didn't know many of the collateral relatives, so she didn't talk much to them. After offering tea, receiving the Jiminli, and thanking them, they might never meet again in this lifetime. When she offered tea to Jiang Xian, Yunyan felt much more relaxed, calling her Annie. Jiang Xian smiled and took the tea. Good girl, good girl. She leaned in and told her, "You're only allowed to call me Annie today. After this, call me whatever you usually do. I don't want to be called old." With that, she drank the tea and gave Yunyan a red envelope, stating directly, "It's not money inside. It's a discount voucher. I'll be in charge of your wedding dress from now on. I'll design it personally and give you the lowest discount." Yunyan couldn't help but laugh. Jiang Laotai frowned. Really no proper form. Yunyan walked up to Jiang Yinyan. He sat upright, while she stood before him, holding a cup of tea. She poured the tea. The temperature was just right. Yunyan curtsied slightly, presenting the teacup. Her lips parted, and finally, she uttered, "Uncle, please have some tea." The teacup in her hand was not taken immediately. Yunyan instinctively raised her head to look at him, but was startled by the dark shadows in his eyes. He stared at her, his thin lips slightly pursed, his expression cold and sharp. She didn't know what he was thinking, but she could subtly sense his displeasure from his seemingly calm demeanor. She pressed her lips together and spoke softly again, "Please have some tea." Everyone was watching them, and she didn't know if he intended to make things difficult for her. But thankfully, Jiang Ninian finally took the tea, sipped it, then set the cup aside, more as if going through the motions. Yunyan secretly breathed a sigh of relief. "All right, as long as there are no further complications." "Wait." Just as she was about to leave, Jiang Yinyan called out to her from behind. Yunyan paused, then bracing herself, turned around. "This is for you." Jiang Yinyan handed her a brocade box. Yunyan was surprised. She hadn't expected him to prepare a gift. She instinctively took it, and when she opened it, she was stunned again. At the same time, everyone present also saw the item in the brocade box. It was a necklace. Yunyan found the necklace familiar, and then it clicked. It was the one Jiang Yinyan had bought at the last auction. She drew a sharp breath. The auction price alone for this necklace had been extremely high. Everyone present was an expert who knew their goods, and they could tell at a glance how generous Jiang Yinyan was. Jiang Xian exclaimed, "Third brother, this is truly a grand gift." Jiang Yinyan stared at Yunyan's face, a faint, unreadable smile playing on his lips. "It's rare to acknowledge a niece, so of course, I have to dote on her wholeheartedly." Though he said this, Yunyan couldn't detect any genuine affection from an elder doting on a junior in his light tone. It sounded more like he was subtly reprimanding her. Yunyan's scalp tingled with tension. The brocade box felt like a hot potato in her hands. "Do you like it?" "Why, yes, I like it." Old Madame Jiang misunderstood, chuckling. "Yinyan, you don't have to be so nervous. Third brother can be a bit serious, but you'll get used to him over time. Aren't you still working under your uncle now? Don't be so reserved." Yunyan didn't immediately realize that "your uncle" referred to Jiang Yinyan, and when she did, it only added to her awkwardness. "The relationship is a bit complicated," Jiang Xian teased from the side. "He's both your boss and your uncle, third brother." She looked at Jiang Yinyan. "Now that she's family, you should take extra care of her usually." "Don't worry." Jiang Yinyan's gaze remained on Yunyan's face, with that same unreadable smile. "I will take very good care of my niece." Old Madame Jiang was quite pleased to hear this. "Yinyan hasn't worked at the company before, so with you looking after her, I'll be more at ease." Yunyan lowered her eyes, but her heart was pounding. She was all too aware of what Jiang Yinyan's care truly implied. "Come here," Jiang Yinyan commanded indifferently. Yunyan didn't react for a moment. When she looked up, she saw Jiang Yinyan staring at her as he spoke. Her body tensed again, and she walked forward, holding her breath. Jiang Yinyan took the necklace out of the brocade box. "Turn around." "Is he going to put it on her?" "No need." "Turn around." Jiang Yinyan repeated indifferently. Yunyan had no choice but to comply. Jiang Yinyan stood up, his tall figure almost enveloping her. He personally placed the necklace around her neck. Although they weren't particularly close, she could occasionally feel the warmth of the man's fingers on her nape. After the necklace was finally fastened, his fingers seemed to brush her neck inadvertently. This seemingly unintentional gesture made her entire back tense up. Jiang Xin, observing from the side, remarked, "It really looks beautiful." Jiang Yinyan stood behind her. Yunyan only felt the weight of the necklace on her neck. She turned around, lowered her eyes, and softly said, "Thank you, uncle." She didn't look up, so she didn't know what expression Jiang Yinyan wore. After Yunyan's recognition ceremony, Jiang Zhe brought Ji in. However, because Ji had not yet formally married into the Jiang family, she could not enter the ancestral hall. She could only stand in the courtyard and offer tea to the elders. Yunyan was already a member of the Jiang family. Although she was of the same generation as Jiang Zhe, she couldn't leave because the ceremony wasn't over. Jiang Yinyan gestured for her to sit on an empty chair nearby. She hesitated. By rights, she shouldn't have sat, as the Jiang family had strict rules. But old Madame Jiang also felt sorry for Yunyan, so she motioned for her to sit. "You've been bustling around all morning. If your uncle tells you to sit, then sit." Yunyan sat next to Jiang Yinyan, feeling an immense psychological pressure. The main hall connected to the courtyard, with the doors wide open. Ji could only approach the doorway at most. Considering her pregnancy, old Madame Jiang didn't make her kneel. Jiang Zhe was by her side, offering tea just like her. The butler was responsible for delivering cups of tea to each elder. During this time, the elders could give lectures or words of admonition, and the juniors were expected to listen carefully to everything they said. However, after a full round of tea offerings, none of the elders said much, except for old Madame Jiang, who reminded Jiang Zhe a couple of times to take good care of Miss Ji and ensure she had a peaceful pregnancy. It was understandable. In the Jiang family, someone of Ji's status would, after all, be a step below. But when it came to Jiang Yinyan, things changed. Jiang Yinyan didn't drink the tea, nor did he even reach out to take the cup. He simply gestured with his eyes for the butler to place it on a nearby table. Then he spoke indifferently. "Since you wish to be part of the Jiang family, you must abide by its rules." His tone was mild, yet it held an imposing authority. Ji had heard of Jiang Yinyan before, the Jiang family's anomaly. Although his status wasn't particularly high among the many elders, and he wasn't old, no one in the entire Jiang family dared to provoke him. The title Master Yin wasn't given lightly. Ji's heart pounded. She whispered, "Yes, uncle. Please speak." "Don't call me uncle just yet. You haven't married into the family," Jiang Yinyan said bluntly. "Today is just a warning shot for you, to prevent you from causing unnecessary trouble after you enter the family." At this point, Jiang Yinyan looked at Jiang Yintai, who was sitting opposite him. "Big brother, I'm lecturing your future daughter-in-law on your behalf. You don't mind, do you?" Jiang Yintai naturally didn't want this at the moment, but it was awkward to object in front of so many elders, so he said, "Of course I don't mind." Jiang Yinyan's lips curved slightly, but his tone was cold. In the Jiang family, there's a distinction between insiders and outsiders, and a hierarchy. "Miss Ji, you haven't even entered the Jiang family's door yet, but you've already sown discord and stirred up an argument. This is against the rules. Even if you marry into the Jiang family later, today's incident will always be held against you." Upon hearing this, Ji was naturally indignant. She looked up at the hall and began, "Today When someone in the hall is speaking, listen." Jiang Yinyan's tone grew colder. Even Yunyan, sitting beside him, felt a chill subtly spread. Ji dared not utter another sound. Jiang Yinyan continued, "For your own good in the future, and to avoid giving others a handle to criticize you, Miss Ji, you need to come in and offer a cup of apology tea. This will also make you understand that the Jiang family is not to be trifled with." Ji was dumbfounded. She looked up at the main hall. Jiang Yinyan kindly explained, "Apologize to the person you provoked." Asterisk what? Asterisk. Not only Ji was stunned, but Yunyan was also dumbfounded, turning to look at Jiang Yinyan. Jiang Yinyan didn't look at her. His gaze was utterly indifferent, just as indifferent as his tone when he demanded Ji offer an apology tea, yet it carried full deterrent power. Jiang Yintai, despite his reluctance to acknowledge Ji, she was, after all, about to marry into the family. He cleared his throat and looked at Jiang Yinyan. Is this really necessary between peers? Without rules, nothing can be accomplished properly. Big Brother also witnessed what happened just now. Such an incident in the Jiang family is a joke. If Miss Ji doesn't show some remorse, she'll never learn her lesson, Jiang Yinyan said with firm resolve. He then looked at old Madame Jiang. "Mother, what do you think about this matter?" No need to ask further. Old Madame Jiang was definitely taking sides. She said, Just do as third brother says. I heard about what happened just now. All that bickering, what kind of behavior is that? I don't care about the truth of the matter. At least one thing is certain. Before Miss G came to the Jiang family, such incidents never occurred. Jiang Yintai heard the old madam speak, and there was nothing he could do. GZ panicked at this. She reached out and tugged at Jiang Zhe's clothes. What could Jiang Zhe do in front of so many elders? Moreover, GZ had indeed gone too far in the earlier incident. He said, just go in and apologize. Bear it, and it will be over. You, Miss G, please come in. The butler calmly stepped forward and gestured for her to enter. GZ also realized that Jiang Zhe wouldn't stand by her at this moment. She reluctantly entered the main hall, took the tea from the butler, and stepped forward. Yunyan's heart was thumping, watching GZ's stance, worried she might pretend to accidentally spill the tea all over her, knowing that a pregnant person couldn't be held accountable. No sooner had the thought crossed her mind than Jiang Yinyan's indifferent reminder came. This is the ancestral hall. Miss G, you must hold your teacup steady, otherwise it would be a great disrespect to our ancestors. That one sentence successfully put Yunyan at ease and made GZ's face turn even uglier. And so, GZ offered Yunyan an apology tea. Although unwilling and resentful, she couldn't completely lose face. Yunyan thought to herself, Jiang Yinyan's move was truly cunning. After the recognition ceremony, everyone proceeded to the banquet. The banquet venue was ultimately set on Jiang family grounds, which was considered auspicious. It was held at the hotel where Jiang Yinyan usually booked private rooms year-round. The 60th floor was the banquet hall, and directly above it was Jiang Yinyan's suite. There were quite a few guests who came directly to the banquet, all immaculately dressed in suits and elegant attire, amidst the melodious music of the live orchestra. Air-freighted red wine and champagne flowed continuously, and the scent of flowers mingled with the perfumes of the guests. The bustling scene of a grand social event was on full display. Jiang Zhe proactively sought out Yunyan. In the corridor leading to the lounge, Yunyan had intended to get some fresh air, but was stopped by Jiang Zhe. What more is there for us to say? Yunyan asked, puzzled. Jiang Zhe looked dejected. Yunyan, just call me Yunyan. It's not appropriate for someone about to get married to call me that. Yunyan corrected his form of address. Jiang Zhe gave a bitter smile. You just got recognized as family. You're my sister now. What's wrong with me calling you Yunyan? Yunyan didn't want to argue about it. Do you need something? About GZ, Jiang Zhe said softly. I'm sorry about today, for letting you be wronged. I know she was being unreasonable, and it's not that I don't believe you. Jiang Zhe, I've accepted your apology. From today on, you'd better keep a close eye on GZ. She causes too much trouble, and someone with her personality will suffer even if she marries into the Jiang family, Yunyan said indifferently. Jiang Zhe sneered. She brings her troubles upon herself. Isn't this what she wanted? She deliberately conspired to break us up, focused solely on marrying into the Jiang family. She'll definitely learn that not just anyone can waltz into the Jiang family. Yunyan stared at him in astonishment. Seeing her reaction, Jiang Zhe said, What? Do you think I shouldn't speak of her that way? But these are my thoughts. Yunyan, I don't love her. My final agreement was only for the sake of the child. Yes, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have gotten involved with her, and I shouldn't have failed to cherish our relationship. Yunyan looked at him. What's the point of coming to tell me all this? Do you want me to forgive you? Jiang Zhe, I never blamed you. And the reason we reached the point of breaking off our engagement wasn't solely because of GZ. She was just the fuse. You should be very clear about the problems between us. Jiang Zhe's face was filled with pain. But Yunyan, I love you. He leaned closer to her. Every moment I'm living now is torment. I miss our days together. In my heart, you're the only one worthy of being my wife. No other woman means anything. Yunyan stepped back. Jiang Zhe, have you had too much to drink? She remembered what he had done before. Jiang Zhe saw wariness in her eyes, and his emotions spiraled out of control. He stepped forward and grabbed her. I'm not drunk. In fact, I haven't even had a drop of alcohol. Yunyan, I'm completely sober. Even if you hate me, I have to say it. I truly love you. From beginning to end, you're the only one I've ever loved. After saying this, he lowered his head to kiss her. Yunyan pushed him away forcefully, reprimanding him. Jiang Zhe, don't go too far with your actions. After speaking, she tried to leave. Jiang Zhe also found it hard to control his emotions, stretching out his long legs to pursue her. Just as he was about to reach out and grab her, the lounge door opened, and someone emerged, pulling Yunyan behind him. He coldly snapped at Jiang Zhe. Haven't you caused enough trouble? Yunyan instinctively looked up. The man's solid back completely shielded her, and his large hand still held her wrist firmly. When Jiang Zhe saw it was Jiang Yinyan, his expression changed. Uncle. Jiang Yinyan's gaze was indifferent. Although you and GZ aren't the main characters today, You're still appearing together before the guests. Why aren't you in the banquet hall? What are you doing here? Jiang Zhe pursed his lips. I came to talk to Yin Yin about something, to explain myself to her. Explain. Jiang Yin Yin's brows furrowed in cold sternness. Is that how you explain things? Haven't you learned your lesson from last time? Jiang Zhe was naturally indignant. He also sharply noticed that Jiang Yin Yin was still holding Yin Yin's wrist. He looked up, meeting Jiang Yin Yin's gaze. As an uncle, isn't it inappropriate to be so intimate with your niece? Yin Yin's heart fluttered. She instinctively tried to pull her hand free. Jiang Yin Yin didn't make it difficult for her. He released her hand. He casually slipped both hands into his pockets. This time, when he looked at Jiang Zhe, his brows were as cold as frost on tiles. When it came to Yin Yin, Jiang Zhe actually had quite a few issues with Jiang Yin Yin. Whether it was some of the rumors that had circulated before, or the matter of letting Yin Yin work at Zhongshu. He always had a faint feeling in his heart that these two people definitely had a relationship. But this was just a feeling of his, and he couldn't find any evidence. So today, when Jiang Zhe faced Jiang Yin Yin, he somewhat revealed his inner dissatisfaction, especially since Jiang Yin Yin had interfered in Yin Yin's affairs, which made Jiang Zhe even more displeased. In Jiang Ze's heart, although he and GZ had to be tied together, he didn't love GZ, and separation was only a matter of time. The truth was that Yin Yin was his. He wouldn't easily give up on Yin Yin, even if reality didn't allow it. Jiang Zhe wasn't intimidated by Jiang Yin Yin's cold, stern gaze. He always had a feeling of, you're making moves on my wife, so can I resist? So he met Jiang Yin Yin's eyes. Of course, I wouldn't dare to comment on Uncle's actions, but I have a kind reminder for Uncle. Jiang Yin Yin's expression was indifferent. Jiang Zhe looked at Yin Yin behind her, then back at Jiang Yin Yin. She has been acknowledged as family by bowing before the ancestral tablets. From today on, you are her uncle. There are some things family members can do, and some things they cannot. I'm afraid Uncle, being busy with important affairs, might forget this point. Listening to these words, Yin Yin's heart was in turmoil. She felt that Jiang Zhe knew something. There are no walls that can keep everything out. Her and Jiang Yin Yin's affair would eventually be known by outsiders. Even if she had repeatedly been careful in her daily life, what if it was discovered? Her only thought now was that if one day their relationship was discovered, it would be after she had completely cut ties and ended their relationship with him. By then, even if it became widely rumored, it would just be a matter of little consequence to her, like a light boat that has already sailed through all obstacles. Jiang Yin Yin said unhurriedly, "You don't need to worry about how I view my relationship with Yin Yin, Jiang Zhe. Manage your people and do your job properly." Jiang Zhe pressed his lips together tightly, said nothing more, and turned to leave. The corridor returned to calm. Yin Yin's heart, however, was pounding because of Jiang Yin Yin's words. She wondered if it was her imagination, but she felt there was a strong sense of provocation and declaration in Jiang Yin Yin's words. Soon, Yin Yin dismissed this thought. No one could fathom his thoughts. Jiang Yin Yin looked at her. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine," Yin Yin said softly. "Do you want to go into the lounge?" Jiang Yin Yin asked. Yin Yin had originally intended to go into the lounge to get away, but unexpectedly, after Jiang Ze's scene, and with Jiang Yin Yin still there, she had to dismiss that idea. Just as she was about to say no, Jiang Yin Yin spoke first. "The lounge isn't convenient to enter right now, and you're the protagonist today, so you can't be away from the event for too long." Yin Yin had wanted to leave quickly, so she was puzzled by his words. The lounge isn't convenient? While she was thinking, the lounge door opened, and someone came out. Yin Yin's gaze instinctively went up and froze. It was Emola. Emola also saw Yin Yin and was slightly stunned. Compared to her radiant appearance in the morning, Emola now looked somewhat spiritless. Her makeup was a bit smudged, and there were obvious signs of fatigue in her eyes. Although Yin Yin stood there, her heart felt as if rivers and seas were overturning, and like a hand was fiercely gripping her heart, causing a dull ache and bitterness. No wonder he told her the lounge wasn't convenient to enter. With him and Emola in there, it indeed wasn't convenient. Yin Yin felt as if she had been slapped hard. Was it thanks to Jiang Zhe? If Jiang Zhe hadn't caused such a scene, she would have pushed the door open and entered, and what would have met her eyes would have been an intimate and lingering scene. "I'm sorry I intruded." She reacted, but left as if startled. Emola tried to call out to her, but she ran too fast, and it wasn't appropriate for Emola to shout. After Yin Yin had completely disappeared, Emola turned to Jiang Yin Yin. Did she misunderstand something? Jiang Yin Yin's brow furrowed deeply, but he didn't address the topic. When he spoke again, his voice was faint. "Go freshen up. As for the matter between our two families, it's better to choose a formal time to discuss it with the old madam." Emola nodded weakly. She subconsciously glanced at the lounge, then looked at Jiang Yin Yin, her voice dropping. "I don't owe you anything, Jiang Yin Yin." Jiang Yin Yin's eyes were calm. "I never thought you did." "So, you're actually relieved now?" Emola asked him. Jiang Yinyan didn't hide it from her. I do feel that way. Mo La smiled, a somewhat helpless smile. Fate truly plays tricks on people. You don't need to feel burdened. I'll be with you on how to explain and what to do. Hearing this, she looked up at him. Do you know why I just said I don't owe you? Jiang Yinyan watched her. Mo La looked at him. Because all these years, your heart has never been with me. Jiang Yinyan's gaze was very calm. I'm very sorry. You really are. Mo La wanted to laugh but couldn't. What a charming yet cruel man. Ultimately, she couldn't say those words. But Jiang Yinyan, I did fall for you, Mo La whispered. I once wholeheartedly looked forward to our future together. But loving you is too exhausting. I get tired too, and I'll retreat. Jiang Yinyan looked at her, silent. Let's just leave it at that. Mo La actually had a belly full of words, but for some reason, she couldn't say anything. After a long while, she still spoke of the practical issue. This matter will ultimately be bad for you. Jiang Yinyan said faintly, Don't worry, I've never cared about those things. Mo La looked at him, her eyes strange. Jiang Yinyan asked her what was wrong. Mo La's voice was even lower this time. What do you think about Yunyan's matter? Jiang Yinyan slightly furrowed his brow. What do you mean? What do I think? Mo La looked at him. Jiang Yinyan, some things can't be kept secret. What do you want to say? What I want to say is, Mo La sighed softly. You are very different towards Yunyan. Perhaps you haven't even noticed it yourself. With that, she said no more, turned, and left. Jiang Yinyan stood still, hands in his pockets, his tall figure exuding indifference and detachment. He pondered Mo La's words, and a cold smirk slowly appeared in his eyes. Yes, how could it be the same? It was too different. Jiang Yinyan returned to the lounge. Jiang Zhixing had long since prepared the tea, and the tea service was filled with a rich orchid fragrance. Seeing Jiang Yinyan return, Jiang Zhixing smiled faintly. It seems our little niece isn't someone to be trifled with. She looks docile, but she's actually very stubborn at heart, and no wonder Jiang Zhe is still thinking of her now. Jiang Yinyan sat opposite him. She's not my niece. If you want to acknowledge her, that's your business. Jiang Zhixing poured tea for both of them, reminding him, You sat in the ancestral hall and drank tea. Now you're going to deny the relationship? Isn't it too late? Jiang Yinyan held his teacup in one hand, saying dismissively, elaborate formalities. If I don't want to abide by them, they mean nothing. Jiang Zhixing looked up at him and smiled. How arrogant. Let's go back to Mo La's matter. Jiang Zhixing didn't dwell on Yunyan's issue, saying softly, Are you truly happily accepting it? What else? Jiang Yinyan raised an eyebrow slightly, taking a sip of tea. Could I really break up a loving couple right in front of the actual party? Jiang Zhixing chuckled. Your tone sounds like a victim. Aren't I? Jiang Yinyan retorted. If you truly were a victim, with your personality, you wouldn't let me have my way. Jiang Yinyan drank his tea, his tone faint. After all, we're family. Family disgraces shouldn't be aired. Do you even believe that excuse yourself? Jiang Zhixing asked him with a half-smile. Jiang Yinyan glanced at him. Otherwise. Jiang Zhixing seemed to ponder. There's another script, which is that you originally didn't want the marriage alliance, so you set your sights on me. Jiang Yinyan's lips twitched slightly. I force you to steal from your own family and covet your future sister-in-law. Just as you don't acknowledge Yunyan as your niece, I don't exactly deny the title sister-in-law for Mo La, Jiang Zhixing said with a half-smile. Since that's the case, what else do you want to discuss with me? Jiang Yinyan poured tea, saying dismissively, I can scheme meticulously, but that doesn't mean I can control your feelings. Jiang Zhixing smiled slightly. This is a win-win situation, at least for you, isn't it? Jiang Yinyan glanced at him, neither saying yes nor no. He simply raised his cup slightly, indicating helping lovers finally get together is an act of merit. All evening, Jiang Xin clung to Yuan Zhou, dragging him to meet one person after another, giving him no chance to breathe. But she was fiercely protective. Jiang Xin turned away anyone who came to toast, warning them, These are our own children. You're not allowed to ply them with drinks like this. She genuinely regarded Yuan Zhou as family and worried herself sick over his affairs. Yuan Zhou was very grateful to Jiang Xin and couldn't always let her fend off drinks, so he would drink some himself. Several times, he passed by Yunyan with a wine glass in hand, too busy to even speak. In a world of fame and fortune, the world of interests, everyone was very realistic. Because of the family recognition, Yunyan and Yu Zhuanzhou's status had indeed risen, and those who came to curry favor visibly increased. Even if it wasn't outright flattery, it was almost to the point of equal dialogue. Yunyan didn't even have a chance to tell Yuan Zhou to drink less. Xiaomin sent a WeChat message, asking if everything was going smoothly. Yunyan thought for a moment and replied, It's quite lively with GZ here. Xiaomin sent a surprised emoji. She still dares to cause trouble in front of the Jiang family elders? Yunyan replied, right? Superb acting skills. And then, and then, and then she was punished by Jiang Yinyan. Thinking of Jiang Yinyan, her heart felt blocked again. She couldn't help but feel indignant. Jiang Yinyan, are you a stud pig? Even in this situation, you could. But soon, she was startled by her own agitated emotions. Mo La was his fiancée, so it was normal if they had something going on in the lounge, right? Yunyan, why are you so agitated? She chose a quieter spot to eat some food, where she could see GZ in her line of sight. Such an occasion naturally couldn't be without her. Perhaps she was used to the world of fame and fortune. For such an occasion, felt like a fish in water to her. But this time, GZ was clever and didn't actively provoke Yunyan. Their gazes merely clashed for a moment. Then she let out a cold snort and left. Good, out of sight, out of mind. Yunyan was about to fill her stomach when Mo La approached. Her first thought was to leave. Mo La saw through her intentions and quickly stepped forward, blocking Yunyan's path. Yunyan looked up and smiled. Mo La, you're avoiding me, Mo La said, quite directly. No way, I didn't even see you. Yunyan lifted her chin slightly, indicating, I wanted to get some pineapple cake. A few madams pulled me aside for drinks earlier, and my stomach feels uncomfortable. Mo La said nothing upon hearing this, moving slightly to the side to let her pass. Yunyan felt how awkward this moment was, but coincidentally, no one came to look for her right then. She could only steel herself to pick up a pineapple cake, placing it on a delicate plate, and asked her, would you like some? Mo La said, I'm cutting sugar. Yunyan Oed, that's impressive. I can't do it. Although I don't crave sugar, I always miss it if I don't eat any at all. Mo La smiled faintly, took a plate, and walked to the cold food section beside her, putting some light dishes on her plate. Actually, there are ways and methods. I can tell you if you need to know. She then looked Yunyan up and down, but you're already so thin and young, with good skin, so there's no rush to cut sugar now. Yunyan smiled but said nothing. I feel like you've grown distant from me. Mo La leaned closer to her. No way, you're overthinking it. Yunyan felt she was too close, almost clinging, and subconsciously took 2 steps back. Mo La sighed softly. See? You say no, but is it because of Jiang Yinyan? Those words made Yunyan's expression change slightly. What does it have to do with him? Mo La, don't overthink things. You're the one who shouldn't overthink. Mo La leaned closer to her again. Did you misunderstand just now, in the corridor? Mo La whispered. Jiang Yinyan and I aren't what you think. We were discussing business in the lounge. Yunyan looked at her in surprise. A pair of fiancés were just discussing business in the lounge. Leaving aside whether that excuse was credible, Mo La's eagerness to explain her made her very confused. Let alone discussing business. Even if they were doing something more, it wasn't her place to be explained to. Mo La, Yunyan was truly bewildered. Why are you telling me all this? I just wanted to tell you. I was afraid you'd misunderstand. Yunyan was even more perplexed. Even if I misunderstood, what then? Why are you afraid I'd misunderstand? Because Mo La opened her mouth, wanting to speak, but hesitating. Yunyan waited for her to continue. But after a long while, Mo La said nothing more, as if she wasn't going to say it. After a moment, Mo La finally said, in short, you should actually be thanking me. Yunyan put down her plate. In the end, she didn't manage to eat a single piece. Mo La's words and actions today were too strange. What do you mean by that? Mo La lowered her eyes, then looked up at her slightly. Without me, you still wouldn't be rid of Jiang Zhe. You don't like him, you don't want to marry him, but you couldn't make him give up on his own. Yunyan looked at her, her eyes calm. Seeing this, Mo La immediately understood. You guessed it already, didn't you? Yes, Yunyan was also quite direct, but I thought it was more complicated at the time, and I didn't think you did it because you wanted me to thank you. Mo La chuckled. I think I can guess how you view this. You think it's a conspiracy theory, right? Isn't it? Yes, but not entirely. Mo La looked at her. I did intend to lend Jiang Yinyan a hand at the time. The open and secret struggles between him and the eldest branch weren't a 1 or 2 day affair. Helping him was worth knowing him. But, she paused, then spoke again with genuine emotion. More than that, I just didn't want you to marry Jiang Zhe. I didn't want to see your life ruined by him. So Yunyan, a big part why I did this was for you. After hearing these words, Yunyan's mind was in turmoil. She never expected Mo La to say such a thing. A moment later, she regained her composure and asked Mo La, I don't understand. You say you did it for me, but why would you do so much for me? Mo La sighed, well, I wanted to maintain this rare friendship with you. This was not the truth. Mora traveling all the way to Nanzhou must have noticed something, and with the two of them meeting again there, Mora wasn't a foolish rich girl. On the contrary, she was extremely clever and calculating. How could she not suspect the private relationship between Yunyan and Jiang Yinyan? But Mora endured and didn't mention it, even orchestrating GZ's entry into the Jiang family. The only thing Yunyin could think of was that Mora would turn a blind eye to anything for the sake of the two families' alliance. Yunyin just didn't understand why Mora was saying all this to her. Hearing this, Mora actually smiled. She didn't try to hide anything, looking at Yunyin. Yes, I know. So, you're here to warn me? Yunyin asked. Warn you about what? To leave Jiang Yinyin? To leave Zhongsheng? Or to remind you that Jiang Yinyin is now your uncle, and you should restrain yourself? Mora asked a string of questions, then shook her head. No, I just came to talk to you. It's that simple. Yunyin looked at her hesitantly. Mora smiled. See, this is human nature. Because you feel you've done something wrong, because you believe you're involved with my fiancé, you always feel uncomfortable when you see me. That remark indeed made Yunyin feel uneasy. Then let me ask you, did you actively seduce him? Mora asked with a half-smile. Yunyin blurted out, I never seduced him. Mora laughed. Of course I believe you. And I believe if there's anything between you two, you must be the passive party. Jiang Yinyin, he appears detached and aloof from worldly affairs, but deep down, he harbors dominance and predatory instincts. That's his nature, and it can't be hidden. I don't understand, Yunyin said, not understanding how Mora could be so calm, knowing all this. Mora chuckled, because Jiang Yinyin and I are no longer involved. Similar to the problem you're facing, he and I still need to inform both families if we want to completely sever ties, but Mora mused for a moment, then continued. My situation will be even more complicated than yours. You're going to break off your engagement with him? Yunyin was startled. Mora said, to be precise, it's him and me. This is a mutual agreement we reached. What? Mora pursed her lips and smiled faintly. I think you'll know soon enough. Hearing this, Yunyin didn't press further, though she was very curious. Mora's family was powerful, comparable to the Jiang family, and an alliance would be a formidable union. How could they just break it off? After a long while, Yunyin said, I'm afraid, even if it's your mutual agreement, the families might not approve. Mora mused. Perhaps it won't be that difficult. Her words were enigmatic. Finally, Yunyin asked, what's your purpose in telling me all this? You don't think you're ceding your position by doing this, do you? I told you, my purpose is simple. I genuinely want to be friends with you, and I don't want our relationship to be disturbed by external matters. Mora said sincerely, that's all it is, truly. Yunyin didn't disbelieve her, but she found the whole situation very unsettling.